Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be watching Rank 7 in Europe, winner of Dream League Season 22. I'm sure you guys all know who he is at this point, and it's Marlene. We're going to be watching his Huskar, because currently he's 7-8 on Huskar, and I honestly believe that this is one of the best heroes in Dota right now. Now you might be saying, oh, but Marlene's a level 30 Huskar. I could never be him. You can. Well, not anytime soon, but maybe one day, and I definitely think Huskar is one of the best heroes in the game right now, and there's a couple of reasons why I think this. The main reason why I think this is the item changes recently. The main one being Sange. Sange is now a much better item, and the upgrades Halberd and Sange, both items that Huskar can buy, and yes, Huskars now buy Sange because of how good it is, are majorly buffed, like majorly buffed. On top of that, the last 3 patches have been majorly beneficial for Huskar. So not only did this hero recently get item changes that helped him a lot, in 7.33c he got 3 more strength, a significant increase. In 7.34, his ulti life break applies a major attack speed slow on the affected target for its duration. This is obviously huge because in the late game, what kills Huskar? BK bead, physical damage. Then, finally, in 7.34d, Burning Spear duration was increased from 8 seconds to 9 seconds, which is another massive increase, right? It's going to finish off the target, right? It will make the difference. So, yeah, he didn't get any change in 7.35, but the items he liked to buy have gotten better and better and better. On top of that, for a long time now, he has 5-second life break cooldown at level 20. It really is one of the most crazy talents in the game. It brings life break from 12 seconds to 7 seconds. And in the late game, you combine that with your ags, which increases the cast range of Light Break. And then all of a sudden, you have a 3-second BKB piercing disable that is on a 7-second cooldown. So you can imagine why this hero scales pretty damn well just with an axe. Alright, before we get into the main part of the video, I do want to let you guys know that I'm not only posting videos here on YouTube, I also frequently post videos on the website. If you don't know what I'm talking about, almost every single day, I'm posting a new video to the Game League website. We're going to teach you guys in depth about how to get to the next level. So if you want to become absolutely broken, click the link down below and sign up. Alright, so in the laning stage, he almost always takes his Q at level 1. Huskar's Q is actually one of the best abilities in all of Dota, and I'm not just saying that. The numbers on this ability are pretty insane. It disarms, it does 120 damage, which is very high for a level 1 nuke. It's on a okay 17-second cooldown, that's the worst part of it, and it's only 75 mana. It's very mana cheap. And so early on, what he always tries to do is secure 2 CS with the Q, right? Often it's the first melee that takes damage and the range creep. This isn't always something that you can do, but it is definitely something he looks for. He'll get aggressive, right? So that he doesn't hit these creeps. He'll get aggressive, trying to line up the HP pool of as many creeps as possible, and then nukes. This nuke will then disarm the enemy, and then he uses that to secure the next CS as well, right? And so something along this line is what he pursues every single game, and it's a great way to start the lane. And you can imagine he does this in all of the early waves, but it's particularly easy if you win the block. So obviously having a good block makes this much easier, and having a good block mid is a staple of the top mid players, right? It's very important. So at level 2, you're going to take Berserker's Blood. This is just going to heal you and give you the natural sustain your hero needs to play the lane, right? Especially against something like Wind Ranger, but you're always going to take it, like almost regardless of the matchup. You need the regen. So, okay, this is the most insane part of Huskar, and the most broken part of Huskar in general is the fact that your W in the laning stage doesn't pull aggro. Because of that, you can get really aggressive without tanking the creep wave, which is important because your hero is super fragile early on. Like, Huskar is a very squishy hero. The only reason why it doesn't seem like it is because it kills you. He kills you when he's low HP. Right, and so this clip is insane. He's diving the tower, right? And he knows as long as he uses his W and doesn't stand closest to the tower when the tower finishes this melee creep, right? When this melee creep dies, as long as he's not the closest to the tower and issuing an attack command, you can as Huskar because of Burning Spear, but as long as you're not issuing a normal attack command, you won't pull aggro. So the tower will aggro to this creep because he's using Burning Spears and he's not the closest. And so you can dive. And Huskar is one of the only heroes that can really do this. He also uses the disarm to get this range creep deny. And then when the wind run is ending, he sees the wind runner kiting up, which is a mistake from the Wind Ranger. She should kite towards the tower, but she's afraid of the Huskar. She shouldn't be because it's not like he can really tank the tower, but she's afraid. He gets out of tower range, just barely, waits for the tower to aggro to these creeps, right? Gets another auto in, waits for the tower to aggro to these creeps, and then proceeds to dive. I mean, this is just insane. Like, are you kidding me? Solo killing a Wind Ranger as Huskar. Like, the execution there was unbelievable. His CS is absolutely fantastic. He's dumpstering this guy on CS. that outplay, understanding of the tower aggro, where to kite out, when to step back in, like everything was so precise. I mean, this was one of the most unbelievable clips I've seen, like in a while. So just so impressive. From there, in terms of items, he picks up boots almost every single game because essentially you just need to like kite in and out. The biggest downside of Huskar is your hero is inherently slow and has bad attack range. And as a result, you need boots to actually close the gap against ranged heroes in particular, but even against melee heroes, like if you're against Ember, you buy boots. And the reason why is it allows you to kite like his auto attacks, it allows you to kite their all-in attempts. Like basically the way to kill Huskar is to fully commit on him, fully run him down. And with boots, if you have a boots advantage, which typically mid you will because people are buying bottle, it's very easy to just kite people and use your E regen to stop them from doing anything. So from there, he wasn't able to score any more kills on the Wind Ranger. Wind Ranger kind of wisened up to his tricks, and you know, Wind Ranger is actually very good against Huskar in a lot of ways. Except that you're a halberd buyer, but okay. He farms Ancients here, right? So he actually pushes out the wave and then ignores this wave, which I thought was pretty cool. 3 points Burning Spear, 2 points Berserker's Blood, skipping the point in Life Break, right? Life Break against Wind Ranger, you could outplay her, but it's very hard. And yeah, he's just gonna straight up farm the Ancients. He stacks it, right? Make sure at the 7-minute mark, he drags out the camp. And with 2 Ancient rotations, this is a hyper efficient play, naturally using the Q to make sure he doesn't die to the creep. And on the large creep, he does actually allow it to kite out a bit. On top of that, he takes Lance of Pursuit. And the reason why you take this item is, even though it is reduced slow, is because of the fact that if someone's not facing you, you deal 15 more damage. Now, I will admit, I don't think this is necessarily the best Huskar item. I think Duelist Gloves are a bit more consistent, even though the attack speed isn't the best. Spark of Courage is kind of a weird item on Huskar because you're always low HP, so you actually almost never get the damage, so you can't really take that. Seeds of Serenity, Safety Bubble are not necessarily the best on Huskar, and so you can kind of see why Lancer Pursuit often makes the most sense. This item is rarely the best item on the majority of heroes, but on Huskar, due to the fact that like Spark of Courage is just not a great item, stats are just not that great, ranged items are reasonably unnecessary, like yeah, this might just be the best item in a lot of games. But yeah, okay, he just keeps taking Ancients, right? He just farms up the Ancient rotation. And he's really efficient about it, right? You could see that, like, I have to imagine this is all intentional. I just want to go back to it. When he leaves the mid lane, it's at, the timer is very important. He leaves at 6:30, right? And if you leave the mid lane at 6:30, you can farm this camp, or 5:30 or 7:30. You can farm this camp in a way where you can then stack it, right? And then you farm the stack, right? Using the Q, farm up the stack, farm this large camp, and then you have the perfect timing on this camp to stack it and farm it as well. So if you leave the mid lane, or you leave your lane in general to farm up creep camps at the 30-second mark, it will allow you to do this beautiful rotation, right? And now he's farming back towards mid on the next minute rotation. So he'll be able to farm this again after clearing the next mid wave. Well, okay, he's gonna give mid actually to his Nyx Assassin, right? So that's just a nice efficiency thing. And yeah, this is what's so cool about Huskar. Your hero's ability to take Ancient early on is just OP. Like, Ancients guys give ridiculous XP. Like, ridiculous. He's level 9. You might be like, oh, you got a solo kill. Okay, sure, he got a solo kill. But he's level 9. It's not like he's level 8 or 7.5, right? Like a level lead. He's 3 levels up on Wind Ranger. 3. Something else to note is Huskar's biggest problem in the early game is he can't really fight into clumped up heroes, right? The hero has a big problem where if people are clumped up, it can't go in the early game. It will die, it will get bursted, even with a 21, Fairy Fire, and Armlet. And keep in mind, he likes always having this wand. Almost every game, you'll see him buy wand. I even was watching his stream, and he bought wand like 30 minutes in. I guess he realized he didn't have it or something, I don't know. He like rebought the wand, it was funny. But yeah, in this clip here, look how he's hitting from the low ground, right? He's keeping his Armlet off, clearly wanting to preserve his HP, like afraid of getting bursted. This is like definitely some niche Huskar decision making, right? Because most people just instantly turn on their Armlet, but he actually is keeping it off until like sort of the end here when he feels like it's just a pick off on Tiny. And I think the reason why is he wanted to save like turning on the Armlet and life breaking for the same time so that he wouldn't get bursted when he jumps in. Which is definitely cool tech. And now with his crushing level lead, he's gonna push out the mid wave. It looks to go on this Tiny, which I thought was insane. Also, I think this Gauntlet should be a Windlace. He buys Windlace in a huge percentage of games. I guess he just forgot to this game or decided his game was good enough where he should rush Halberd. But I think you should buy a Windlace every single game because Huskar's biggest problem is getting kited. You might be like, how's that the case? You have Life Break. Well, first of all, you have to close the gap for Life Break. The cast range is frankly not that good. And then a lot of the time you don't even want to initially life break in. It puts you in too dangerous of a position. you actually want to start most fights by just running up and hitting, as we kind of saw earlier. In this fight, he gets blessed with a shield rune, which he did pick up. It is just bugged right now, but he has a shield rune. And he's going to use the shield rune. Okay, there we go. He's going to use the shield rune to dominate this fight, right? Mars gets a great jump, blows up the Zeus. From there, he's going to go on the Tiny. Does life break in. You know, this shield rune definitely helps. It really keeps him alive here. Like, this Wind Ranger usually is actually a big threat to Huskar. Like, Wind Ranger causes problems for Huskar in the early game, but yeah, not really here. He gets the disarm. Eventually, the Halberd will come out, and then Wind Ranger is just useless. But yeah, he's fine. He's chilling. 77 regen. The Sanj timing is just broken now, right? Because it got buffed. Well, actually, technically, it didn't. The HP regen and lifesteal lamp is only buffed once you get Halberd, Sanj, and Yasha. So that timing is actually very important for Huskar, right? The Halberd or the Sanj and Yasha timing, because it amps the E even further. Then, in natural Huskar fashion, you can Roche as soon as you have max W, max E. You can Roche. In fact, you can do it previous to that. All you need is Armlet and like max W, and you can take Roche. And this is where you really can start to get aggressive. However, you gotta tailor it down a little. I see a lot of Huskar players who just go full psycho. Like, they get an Aegis, and it's like, okay, I'm running it down. Like, I'm running it down. He's taking this tower here, but it's not in a psycho way, right? His team is around him. He obviously has Aegis. He has a major timing in Halberd. Notice how he doesn't instantly and just go and push the next tier 2. A lot of people would just be like, okay, next tower. No. You can still die. Huskar is actually very killable in the early to mid game, even with Halberd. Now, if it's a 5-on-5 and you're not getting targeted by 5 spells, probably not. You're probably not going to die. But if that's not the case, you're just getting 1v5 or 2v5, you're going to die, right? So you need to have, like, obviously there's a chance you outplay them, but it's highly, highly unlikely. And so instead, he just calms down, pushes out the mid wave, clears 2 mid waves, and then works towards this top tower, which is completely alone. He knows the enemy team just TP'd bottom, so he's safe. He's not making a psycho play. He's not just completely disregarding the enemy movements. He's being very reasonable with his decision making here, right? Then he TP's mid again to clear this mid wave, look for a kill on the next mid wave. He's getting absolutely huge farming like this, right? Using his TP to clear out multiple mid waves, using his TP to actually, you know, get closer to the fight, even though no fight happened. And now once again, this tier 2, his entire team is with him. He's also not just tanking the tower for no reason. He's conserving his HP pool, staying at a reasonable HP range, so he doesn't just die to like Fade Bolt, Tiny Nuke, Wind Ranger Nuke, Zeus Nuke, right? Because that can happen, regardless of the fact that he gives you magic resist. That can happen, and boom, he has now safely dismantled the entire map. This is what 13k players do. They don't take, I mean, obviously they take risk, but you know how many people would have just done some really stupid shit? They would have just ran up to some tower, taken some 2v5, an insane amount of the player base, because it's like, oh, I'm Huskar and I'm super farmed and I have an Aegis, and it's like, guys, you can own the game without taking wild decision making. Like, people are like, oh, but I want to completely outplay my opponent. It's like, okay, I also want to get stuck in 3k MMR. And I think this clip right here is kind of a great example of how you want the Aegis to play out. Like, this is actually perfect. You want it to be used in a way where the enemy team has to sort of commit in order to kill you. But notice, it's very easy to poke the Huskar here. A couple of nukes, a few auto attacks, an avalanche toss, bada bing, bada boom, he's dead. It takes his Aegis. However, they get 3-man arena, right? They commit in, and the Mars finds the 3-man arena. And now, they are dead. Wind Ranger literally runs into the tower, into the arena 4 times. Guys, something to keep in mind, if you're playing against Mars, just accept the fact that you're stuck inside. Please don't YOLO and run into the tower. I've noticed this as a trend. Like, I do it too, where we'll panic when we're in the arena. Just, you're in the arena, okay? Don't run into the wall. It does a ton of damage. Like, she just keeps running into it, guys. Don't run into it. Please. You take, like, you take so much damage. Just don't run into it. You're stuck. It is what it is. You messed up. Or he caught you. I don't know. In terms of talents, he completely skips his level 10 talent every single game. Waits until he gets 15% lifesteal at level 15. Then at level 16, he will take his talent. I think both of them are good. I believe he takes Life Break Slow Duration. At level 20, you always take Life Break cooldown, even though the other talent is very good. Life Break cooldown is way too OP. And at level 25, I've seen quite a few memes with Life Break damage. Like, Life Break damage is a very real talent, considering you're getting it to a 7-second cooldown. However, Burning Spears being pure in the late game is pretty damn insane. So it's very hard to pass off. But honestly, both of these 25 talents, if you feel like, hey, I can't hit people for whatever reason, I'm basically just like a control hero with my ags, you have the option to take the life break damage. I mean, it is insane how much you do. All right, and to close off the game, we're going to see a nice spike with level 18, right, lowering the cooldown of life break and the ags. Unfortunately, this game is short enough where we don't get to see the level 20 timing, but I assure you, this hero's ability to scale really just comes from buying BKB ags and then controlling their frontliner, right? A lot of the time, you just take them out of the fight, right? And through BKB, you can kite them, right? It's really, really strong. So like this Wind Ranger, she BKBs, but this is, once again, the power of the Huskar. Taunted, she can't get out, dies, right? So powerful. It just takes these heroes like Wind Ranger that are typically very good at kiting Huskar previous to the Ags timing, right? Because they can run away, they can kite his BKB with their BKB. But once you have Ags, Huskar's biggest weakness, this BKB, right? Because you can't disarm their BKB. No disarm, no disarm. Burning Spears, I mean, you can stack it up, but it doesn't do any damage, right? Like, you're gonna get kited. It just doesn't matter. Once again, another life break onto the Alk, who is BKB'd, and he chops him down, right? Obviously, you don't do that much right-click damage. It's a decent amount because Armlet's such an insane item for strength heroes, but you don't do some crazy damage. Ends up not really mattering, though, right? At the end of the day, they clean up the fight. Easy money, triple kill, and the game ends. But okay, thank you guys so much for watching. I just thought his gameplay this game, especially the laning stage, and then the ancient farming, was like really important to note, right? His execution on the first 10 minutes into the game set up for the rest of the game. But then even then, right, like you might be like, oh, if I dominated the lane so hard, I could easily be this rank. But it's like, would you take Roche at 14 minutes? Would you have overextended, right, when he took that bottom fight 10 minutes in? Would you have jumped into 4 heroes because you're like, oh, I'm strong? Probably a lot of people would, and they would throw the game. You have to understand that this hero isn't completely invulnerable, right? And a lot of people play Huskar that way, and it makes the hero just seem terrible. You have to be calm, cool, collected, take normal team fights, basically play more as a regular hero. I would see Huskar more as a Lina than a Pangolier or an Ember, right? These Pangos and Embers can run into 4 or 5 heroes. You can't do that as Huskar. Like, that's not really an option. Until you have BKB, maybe you can do it. But all right, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. And I'm out. Peace.
And that's all. But remember, before you leave, come on, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below. And I'm out. Peace.